Okay, this video is about identifying parts of the cell from a picture and just a general ability to identify the main parts of the cell. And I'm going to make a really bad drawing and show you how to do this because it's mainly about the shape of the organelle. And of course, it's an artist who is drawing their own drawing. So I'll give you some clues about any drawing or any artist rendition of a cell, how you can identify the parts no matter what picture is provided. And this is an important thing because you're going to go into classes that have different textbooks, and so the pictures will be different. So I'm drawing a cell, I'm drawing the cell membrane in black, and then typically sort of in the center they'll put the nucleus. So the nucleus in an animal cell is the largest organelle. And the nucleus has, usually they'll show it with some stuff inside. So that's the chromosomes, the DNA. And then this boundary line around it is the nuclear membrane. Now you'll remember that the nuclear membrane is really two membranes. Some artists will draw it that way. I'll go ahead and draw it that way, two membranes. But sometimes you can't really tell in the drawing. But that's the nuclear envelope or the nuclear membrane. That means the same thing. And then around the nucleus, in this sort of folded, kind of flappy looking membrane, you'll have the endoplasmic reticulum. And the rough endoplasmic reticulum is very flattened and folded in this way. You can tell this is a terrible picture. And then, but it's always right just outside the nucleus and a very flattened look. And then if they're doing a good job, they put ribosomes on it. So it should have little dots. Those are the ribosomes on the outer surface of the rough ER. So let me go ahead and mark these. This is rough ER, endoplasmic reticulum, and I'll say goes to right about there. And then this is nucleus. And if they're pointing to, if the question is pointing to the nuclear envelope, you just have to look at the answer choices. I will make sure that I don't have more than one answer that could be right because, when you point to the nucleus, you might think I'm pointing to the DNA or I'm pointing to the nuclear envelope. So there will only be one choice that can be correct on the quiz. But this is the rough endoplasmic reticulum because it has the ribosomes attached. And then sometimes a little further out, you'll see the smooth endoplasmic reticulum is more tubule. It's like little tubes, usually the way they draw it. It's a little further out, and that's the smooth ER. And then at a distance from the endoplasmic reticulum, you'll have this section of flattened compartments. Usually it looks like a little stack. And that's going to be the Golgi. That can be really located anywhere, but it's not connected to the endoplasmic reticulum. The other thing you could have would be a mitochondrion. A mitochondrion is going to be a pretty good size, not as big as the nucleus, but a decent size organelle. They usually draw it with the outer membrane. It has two membranes like the nucleus does, but the outer membrane of the mitochondrion is kind of straight or smooth, and the inner membrane is all wrinkled. So you'll see something that's a kind of a medium-sized organelle with kind of a wrinkly interior. That is your mitochondrion. And then, like I said, this is the plasma membrane right here. So these are the ones we're starting with. So I prepared some practice for us, but that's kind of your starting point for your main parts. The nucleus with the DNA inside. Outside of the nucleus, you have this kind of flattened, flappy, rough endoplasmic reticulum, and then this very tubular, smooth ER, and then at a distance, you have the Golgi, which are these flattened, stacked sacs, and then the mitochondrion and the plasma membrane. So we'll start kind of there. So I have some examples here that I'm going to enlarge. All right, so let's do this with my example next to it at first, so you can kind of see what a quiz question might look like. So in the colorized picture here, this artist drawing, which is better than mine, I'll grant you that. All right, let's look at what is A. Now they're pointing to, the line touches what structure? They're pointing to this edge here. This is the plasma membrane. Now B, they're pointing to this structure. It's kind of an oval shape, kind of a medium-sized organelle. The outer membrane is smooth, and then they're always sectioning through, so they're always giving you a slice through the organelle so you can see inside, and that inner membrane is all wrinkly, so that's the mitochondrion. For C is this flattened stack, so that's the Golgi. And D could be the nucleus, could be the nuclear membrane, but only one of those answers will be on the choice list. What if I'm pointing to, let me get a line here, what if I point to the very center here? Then probably I'm trying to point to, maybe the DNA or the chromosomes, or maybe nucleus, just in general. Again, only one of those answers will be in the options. And then right here, just outside of the nucleus, all of this here, this flattened stack, which is F, I'll call it, that is your rough endoplasmic reticulum. On this picture, they don't do a good job of showing the ribosomes on the outer surface. I mean, maybe, kind of. And then over here, this is how this artist drew the smooth ER. Over here, you see another mitochondrion. So it's, those are the main parts of an animal cell. All right, let's practice another one. Let me get rid of all this. And I will shrink this one back down. And I have another one prepared. Let's look at another one. Let's see if you can do this one. This is also an animal cell. Uh-oh. I meant to black out. Okay, I'm going to black out the answers here. All right, pretend like you didn't see these. Let me make this bigger first. Okay, I'm going to black these out. Okay, so on this one, I mean, the artist, it's a different artist, but they're still showing the same main structures. So in the center here, maybe I should change color. Let me get a different color here. Let me go red. Okay, in the center here, this is the nucleus. So this is the nucleus. And then just outside the nucleus, right here, is the rough ER. I probably won't use this picture on a test because I don't like the way they have the Golgi. The Golgi is right here, but in my opinion, it's a little too close to the nucleus to be identified by a beginner student. But that's the Golgi there. And then these are the mitochondria. There's actually several of them. There's one over here, and then all of these. Those are supposed to be mitochondria. The smooth ER is just over here. I don't really love the way this artist did that. And then this is a ribosome. If it's just a dot, you can assume it's a ribosome because ribosomes are so small, they're always depicted in these drawings like dots, like I did over on this drawing that I did over here. They're always just little dots. Those are ribosomes. So you get a sense of the scale. The ribosomes are much smaller than, say, a mitochondrion or the Golgi. And then the plasma membrane. So that's this purple part out on the edge here. All right, let's do a plant cell. And then I will have in the post quiz, I'll pick a good picture. I'll pick one that I think you can clearly identify it once you've done a little bit of practice. All right, so let's shrink this guy down. Let's look at a plant cell. A plant cell has a few more, structures that we need to point out. So a plant cell, this one is, it's got a cell wall. The green part on the outside is the cell wall. And then the inside the cell you have, this is the nucleus here in blue. So B is nucleus. C, they're referring to this flat layered membrane on just outside the nucleus. So C would be endoplasmic reticulum, rough endoplasmic reticulum. The Golgi is over here, shown in yellow, as a stacked set of compartments. And then we have, here's mitochondrion. And then the chloroplast is shown here. It's about the same size as the mitochondrion. And what you notice about the chloroplast is the way they usually draw the chloroplast is it has these kind of stripes. It's usually the way it's drawn, to have these stripes on the inside. Whereas the mitochondrion has like a wrinkled layer on the inside. So they look pretty similar in drawings in terms of size, but the chloroplast has these sort of stripes going through it. And they're showing you green, although actually I can use a color picture for your quiz. So this is A is a chloroplast, and this is a mitochondrion. So plants do have both. And then this big compartment full of water, you may remember from lecture, is only found in plant cells, and that's called the central vacuole. So D is the central vacuole. Let me type things on all this. Oops. Text here. This is Golgi. And A is chloroplast. And B, I would say nucleus, or could be DNA or chromosomes. So whatever's in the answer selection, pick the right one. And then C is rough ER. Now the cell membrane is here. It's a little hard to tell because it's going to be very thin, but it's on the inner side here. I'm trying to trace it. That's the cell membrane. And then outside of the cell membrane, laying on top on the outer surface, is the cell wall. So the cell membrane I traced in red, the cell wall is the green outside of that. Animal cells don't have a cell wall, but plant cells do. So those are the basic structures that you're going to need to be able to identify in a picture. It'll be multiple choice. So you learn to distinguish between them in different artists' drawings so that you can adapt. No matter what artist did a certain picture, you can figure out what is what based on size, based on relative position, and based on the details that the artist did in the drawing. I think those things help.